Hey Math 6 and happy Monday. I hope you're all doing well after a great weekend. As per usual, make sure you have your charged Chromebook and your math binder might be handy to have that nearby. Our content is going to continue to be really vocabulary heavy, so you might want to be jotting down some pictures, some definitions, and some examples for yourself. We will also be doing a little addition and subtraction in today's video, so I have my whiteboard and marker ready. So if you want to have paper and a pencil, or Charlie, if you want to go grab your whiteboard, it'll be good to have that nearby. Our learning goal for today, Monday, and tomorrow, Tuesday, is mathematicians can classify triangles by their sides and angles. So there's two ways that we're going to classify or group triangles, two ways that we're going to name them. We can name the same triangle looking at the same shape by its sides and by the types of angles. But before we get into the math part of today's lesson, it is Monday, so we're going to work on our mindfulness meditation practice. I'm going to ask you guys, if you can, to pause the video here, go to the DLP and check out today's Monday mindfulness. Take a few moments for yourself to ground yourself and prepare you for the week. I'm going to go do the same, and I'll see you back here shortly. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that meditation as much as I did. My biggest takeaway from what Andy said at the beginning of that was, today is just today. Take it one day at a time. Today is Monday. Here we are. We're going to try to stop our thinking from getting too far ahead, and we're going to stay here and kind of get out of our mind's way and be present. My challenge for you for today, and maybe even extend it into the week if you want to try, is to be present where you are. If you are in a Google Meet for foreign language, be there. Don't be thinking about a math assignment or Latin homework or science work you haven't gotten to. Don't be thinking about what you're having for dinner. Be present in the Google Meet. When you sit down, on the other hand, when you sit down with your family for dinner, or you have some quiet time together as a family, or just by yourself later today, be present in that moment. Enjoy playing the video game. Enjoy going on a walk. Enjoy FaceTiming with a family member or friend. Try not to clog your brain with thinking about schoolwork that's coming up or schoolwork maybe that you still need to do. That's something I try to challenge myself with every day. And you guys, it's hard. It's really, really hard to be present in the moment. But the more we practice it and the more we bring our attention to being here and now, the easier it will get over time. So my challenge for you today is to be present. Right now, that's in math. But later on, it could be walking your dog, it could be watching a movie, it could be doing other classwork. All right, today and tomorrow, we are going to be talking about triangles. And like I said on the very first slide, there are two ways to classify triangles: by the length of their sides, triangle has 3 sides, or by their angles. A triangle also has 3 angles. Before we get into the specifics of classifying, I want to tell you that, some of you might already know this, the sum of the measures of the 3 interior angles in a triangle is 180 degrees, no matter what. Always and forever. The 3 measurements of each angle, so angle A plus angle B plus angle C, will always equal 180 degrees, which is pretty cool when you think about it. So let's take a look at these 2 triangles here. This triangle up top, this angle measures 53 degrees, so we know based on our work from last week that that is an acute angle. This angle here measures 42 degrees. It's also an acute angle, and it's asking us what this angle is equal to. Well, if all 3 are equal to 180 degrees, I'm actually going to set myself up for a little 2-step equation, and I'll show you what I mean. So I know 53 degrees plus 42 degrees. I'm going to call my question mark here x, because that's my unknown. And I know that all three angles need to equal 180. So here's my equation, my problem with an equal sign. Before I get to my variable x, I'm going to combine my other terms. So I'm going to add 53 plus 42 and get 95. I'm going to bring down my x, and it equals 180. All right, and hopefully you are thinking about what our next step is. If I want x alone, that means I need to get rid of the 95. The 95 is a positive. I would get rid of a positive 95 by subtracting 95. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So 95 minus 95 gives me nothing. So I'm going to bring down my x, and then I'm going to subtract. All right, you subtract 2, and let's see what we get. After you've subtracted, you should get what x is equal to. That last angle is equal to 85 degrees. And we can check our thinking by asking ourselves, what is 85 plus 53 plus 42? If you add those together, you should be left with 180. Let's try the second one. Remember, all of the interior angles in a triangle, they're called interior angles because they're on the inside or the interior of the triangle. So all three of these angles need to add up to 180 degrees. So using your paper and pencil, go ahead and set up your equation first. All right, pause if you need more time. This is what I have. All right, then you're going to combine your terms, not the variable, but you're going to combine your like terms. So you're going to add 45 and 75, see what you get. Ready? 120 plus x equals 180. Now, if we want to get x alone, think about what you need to do to get x alone. Try that, solve for x, and we'll compare in a moment. Once you've found what x equals, see if you can check your work. See if you can plug x into the question mark and see if all three of your angles equal 180. Pause if you need more time. If you're ready, you should see that x equals 60 degrees. And then over here, I checked my work by adding 60 plus 75 plus 45, and I got 180. So I know that I added up my interior angles correctly. And that's true, no matter the size of your triangle could be the size of your house. And if you measured the angles, they would all add up to be 180 degrees, which is pretty cool. All right, now we're going to move into classifying. Let me move my head out of the way here. Okay, classifying triangles. There's two ways to classify. A triangle can be classified, it's like a tongue twister, by their angles, so by looking at the three angles, or they can be classified by their sides, their three sides. When we look at triangles and how they're classified by angles, there's three ways to classify them. You can have an acute angle where all three angles are acute or less than 90 degrees. You can have a right triangle where one angle is 90 and the other two are acute. Or you can have an obtuse triangle where there's one obtuse angle and the other two angles are acute. You can also classify triangles by their sides. If all sides are equal, it's called an equilateral. We know these are equal because each side has one tick mark. So this side is equal to this side is equal to this side. an isosceles triangle, which is spelled funky. I think it was Natalia that was so proud of herself for spelling isosceles correctly. An isosceles triangle has two sides that are congruent. Remember, congruent is a fancy mathematical way of saying the same. So here we see these two sides are congruent. They're the same length, and we know that because they have the ticks in them. One tick here, one tick here. This side doesn't have a little tick mark, so we know it's not equal. And lastly, we have a scalene triangle. With a scalene triangle, no sides are congruent. So you can classify each triangle in two different ways. If I went up to this equilateral triangle, yeah, by its sides, it's an equilateral triangle. If I wanted to classify this same triangle by its angles, I would call it an acute triangle because all three angles are acute. Let's do a little practice together. Move my head out of the way. All right, let's take a look at number 1. I want you to think about if we had to classify this triangle by its sides, what would we call it? I see this side is 10 yards, this side is 10 yards, and this side is 12 yards. If you're not sure, you can rewind or go back. So 10, 10, and 12. That would be isosceles because two sides, the 10s, are the same and the other one is 12. I can never spell isosceles right. Oh man, guys, I got excited, but I didn't get it. Remember, I told you, world's worst speller. Even worse than you, Charlie. All right, and how about angles? Let's classify it by its angles. I see a right angle. And these look like acute angles to me. They look like they're less than 90. So if there's one right angle and two acute angles, let's go back. Aha, right triangle. One angle is a right angle, 90 degrees, and the other two are acute. So I would call this, oh, I should add triangle up here too. Isosceles triangle and a right triangle. So those are the two names for that same triangle. It is an isosceles triangle based on its sides, and it is a right triangle based on its angles. Take a look at number 2. 8, 8, and 2. Oh, that's also isosceles. 2 are 8, and 1 is 2, so they're different. Isosceles triangle. And by its angles, what do you guys think? 32, 74, and 74. My first observation is that they're all less than 90. They're all acute, so it's going to be an acute triangle. If this is still fairly new to you, some of you, this might be a review of things you've done in the past. For some of you, this might be on the newer end. Go back here. You can screenshot this on your computer, or these would be good notes to jot down in your notebook. That would be very helpful. All right, so today's assignment is going to have you adding up interior angles to triangles. Remember, all three angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees always, and it's going to have you classifying triangles in two different ways. You can classify triangles by their sides. That would be equilateral, scalene, and isosceles. You can also classify a triangle by their angles. You can have an acute triangle, you can have a right triangle, or you can have an obtuse triangle. As always, let me know if you have any questions. We're going to continue on with triangles tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing you at our Google Meet. I'm thinking maybe we'll do some Jeopardy. So come ready to play. All right, guys, I miss you, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good Monday.